Your child looks at a word, pauses, then guesses something that kind of fits the picture but isn't actually the word. And you're thinking, why aren't they just reading? That moment isn't random. It's coming from a reading strategy that schools across the United States are now starting to ban. Let me show you what it is and why it's causing so many kids to struggle. Subscribe if you want to understand how reading actually works, because most parents were never shown this. I've worked with early readers for over 15 years, and this pattern, kids guessing words instead of actually reading them, I see it constantly. Most of the time, it's not the child, it's how they were taught. Here's what's happening behind the scenes. A lot of kids are taught to read using something called the 3 cueing system. The idea is simple. When a child gets stuck on a word, they're encouraged to figure it out using clues. What would make sense in the sentence? What would sound right grammatically, and what the word looks like, so usually looking at the first letter. This is instead of going sound by sound. They're taught to actually predict the word. But here's where things start to break down. When kids are learning to read, they don't need more guessing strategies. They need a reliable way to figure out words they've never seen before. And that comes from decoding. So looking at the letters, matching them to sounds, and blending those sounds together. But 3 cueing shifts the focus away from that. So instead of looking through the whole word, kids start glancing at the first letter, they check the picture, and guess something that fits. And over time, that becomes the habit. And for a long time, this was just seen as part of learning to read, until people started looking more closely at it. In 2022, the podcast Sold a Story brought a lot of attention to this. It showed how this approach became widely used, even though research had been raising concerns for years. And once that conversation became public, things started to move quickly. Since 2023, at least 17 states have taken action to limit or ban 3 cueing in classrooms. Some states have even gone further, specifically saying schools should not teach kids to use pictures to guess words, to use context to predict words, or to rely on sentence structure instead of actually reading. At the same time, there's a large shift towards something else: explicit, systematic phonics instruction. Because across large-scale studies, phonics consistently helps kids read more accurately and confidently. I'm going to show you what should be happening instead, because that's the part parents never get shown. Here's the shift that makes the biggest difference. Instead of asking, what word would make sense here? We want kids asking, what sounds do these letters make? That in effect builds strong letter sound knowledge, the ability to blend sounds into words, and recognizing patterns across words over time. Because that's what allows a child to read words they've never seen, instead of guessing and hoping they're right. So if your child is looking at pictures, guessing words, or reading in a way that feels inconsistent, it's not just a phase. It's often a sign of the strategy they've been taught. And once that strategy changes, reading starts to feel more stable.